Who didn't play at making the game-winning shot in their backyard when they were a kid? It's as American as apple pie to want to be a sports star, but becoming one can be a nightmare for some athletes. By the time they have been retired for 2 years, 78% of NFL players have gone bankrupt or are under financial stress because of joblessness or divorce. That according to Sports Illustrated. No, folks, it's not just the NFL. About 60% of former NBA players are broke within 5 years of leaving the league. Those are some pretty shocking numbers, considering that most of these jock athletes earn tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars during their careers. Let's look at a few of these broke ballers to see what happens when the fans stop cheering and the money runs out. Vin Baker was a drug addict, an NBA All-Star, and an Olympian. He acted like he was completely drunk for most of his career. He lied to doctors and to himself to keep his lifestyle going. In an interview with WBUR, the 6'11" power forward said it got so bad that he started drinking Listerine before games to get drunk without being caught. He eventually got so drunk that he was kicked out of the league and lost the nearly $100 million he made playing in it. The Providence Journal says that Baker went bankrupt because he made a lot of bad investments and gave money to the wrong people. His house was taken away from him, and he had to sell his gold medal to pay his bills. Baker told WBUR that he knew he needed a job if he ever wanted to change his life. He has 4 kids.
Was on the line, like literally was on the line. And so it was just like my animal instincts, it kicked into survival mode. Like I got to just live. And the only way I'm going to live is to put the bottle down and really give sobriety a real shot. I did. And my life changed drastically by simply abstaining from alcohol.
After he got clean, he got in touch with Howard Schultz, who used to own the Supersonics. Schultz also owned a small coffee franchise called Starbucks, and he offered Baker a job. So this famous basketball player turned out to be a barista of all things. If you're too young to remember, at the start of 1985, no one was bigger than William the Refrigerator Perry. Perry was big too. In his first year in the NFL, he weighed 350 pounds. The Fridge was a defensive lineman who was also the heaviest player to ever score a touchdown. One Chicago Sun-Times columnist said at the time he was the best use of fat since the invention of bacon. But the Super Bowl shuffler hasn't held up well over time. A sad article in Sports Illustrated said that Perry lives in a retirement home with his brother, who is his guardian, tells him what to do. His money has been thrown away, and his once Herculean body is now in very bad shape. He has severe diabetes and cognitive problems, which may be caused by CTE. He denied having CTE, saying, "I didn't get concussions. I gave them." He had to sell his Super Bowl ring to stay alive. According to CBS Sports, it was the biggest ring that had ever been made. Now he gets by on his Social Security checks. In 2015, he made only $13,921. Doctors have told him to stop drinking, but he either can't or won't. Instead, he spends aimless days drinking beer with a bunch of drifters. Mike Ditka, who coached the Bears when the Fridge helped them win the Super Bowl, told SI, "It's sad. I think he stopped trying, and I'm left wondering why." Debbie Thomas was once the most famous figure skater in the United States. She was an African American who broke new ground and changed how the sport was seen. Katarina Witt, who won a bronze medal in the 1988 Olympics, told the Washington Post, "She was the only one who could really beat me. It seemed like nothing could stop her. But sometimes things don't go as planned." After she stopped skating, Thomas went to medical school and got her degree. Then she started doing orthopedic surgery, but her bad attitude made it hard. She wanted and expected to be treated like a star, but in orthopedics, she knew she wasn't a star, said fellow doctor Lawrence Dorr. She started jumping from job to job, never staying with anyone for more than a year. She got a divorce, and her son was taken away from her. She tried to start her own business, but she couldn't make it work. Fix My Life, a TV show on which she was a guest in 2015, says that she and her fiancé now live live in a trailer with bed bugs. Her medical license has expired, and other than selling gold bullion, she has no real income. In 2012, she went up to a police officer and told him that she had a gun and was going to hurt herself. Because of this, she was told she was bipolar, which she denies. Thomas told the Post, "People don't understand me very well because I see the world differently. It's the Olympian way of thinking." Kenny Anderson used to be able to control everything, and he had such good hands that he was a basketball star before he even turned 13. But Anderson's life was harder and more complicated than it looked. As he told SB Nation in 2013, he was molested by 2 different men and spent his childhood in the shadow of his mother's huge drug problems. Even though he became the best player in the NBA and made more than $63 million, his demons didn't go away. He told Mashable that his life was a mess. "I wasn't happy. I had no idea what it meant to be happy. You don't know who's on your side because there are so many leeches and so much fake love." His expensive lifestyle, which included many mansions, 11 cars, and 8 kids from 3 different women, hurt his bank account. In 2005, the year he left the NBA, he filed for bankruptcy. "I wasn't a gambler or a drug addict, but I did foolish things," he told Forbes. So in 2017, the documentary Mr. Chibbs was made. Anderson spent years writing about what it was like to lose so much, saying at one point, "I'm a walking mistake." Anderson says that he now lives comfortably, but his main goal is to be a better parent to his many kids. "Basketball was easy for me," he told Mashable. "It was all the other stuff that was hard." Mac Brown, Vince Young's college football coach, told Sports Illustrated what he thought. "Obviously, one of the best to ever play college football, just based on how he played in the 2006 Rose Bowl. It's hard to argue against this idea. Many fans think it was the best game ever. It got him into the NFL and gave him a chance to reach his goals." Even though he won Offensive Rookie of the Year and went to 2 Pro Bowls, Young had a hard time as a pro. He played his last NFL game in 2011. Fights with his coaches and what some people called a bad attitude caused him to lose his job. That was only the tip of the iceberg. He was in the news because of a suicide scare, a DUI, and he went bankrupt in 2011 because he had ignored his finances his whole life. SI wrote that Young put $600,000 into a restaurant owned by a famous actor he'd never heard of. He was also famous for spending $15,000 on one meal at Cheesecake Factory, which was way too much. How many Buffalo Blast would you have to have in order to make that happen? In the past few years, Young has fixed up his finances and gotten a job at the University of Texas, where he went to school. Still, the dream of playing football hasn't died. In 2017, he tried to get on with the Saskatchewan Roughriders of the Canadian Football League, but he got hurt and had to quit. Probably for good this time. These are just a few athletes that are proof of how bad decisions might have devastating effects in the future.